Do you ever feel like you spend all this time reading books and then you never really take anything from them? Like your life just hasn't changed very much? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the one thing that you need to do. So for me, what was happening was I would read all these books. My goal was like, I'm going to shoot for 50 books a year. And what I would do is I would get caught into this perfectionist mindset where I would read a chapter and I would not move forward to the next chapter until I felt like I understood every last detail. And that was good and all. And I'd get done with the book and I felt like I kind of had a good understanding, like in my memory on like what the thing was. But a year would go by and nothing would really change in my life. And I would ask myself, like, why is this happening? Is it something wrong with me? Is it like it make me feel like crap? Like I don't like what's going on? Like I'm doing what everybody tells you to do online. Like read the books and then read these books and then your life will change, right? Not necessarily true. But then I read this book right here. And before you click on the video, because I know so many people have read this book, just stick with me for a minute. I read this book right here and it completely changed the way that I approach books, my process for reading books and everything like that. And it's because this is such a practical book. Before, what I would do is I would read books and I would take all these notes and I just felt like all the knowledge needed to live up here. And I wasn't really clear on what my goals were. I think that was probably part of the problem. And the other part of the problem was just like, I was just doing what people were telling me to do without thinking about how it actually would affect my life, if that makes sense, right? Read Atomic Habits because you should read Atomic Habits because that's what successful people say that you should read. That's what I thought. But then I read this book and I'm like, wow, there are things that I could do in this book right now that could give me actual feedback. And so when I started applying the things that I learned from this book in my life, I started to see things that were actually changing. My behavior changed. Therefore, everything else in my environment started to change. And I realized that, well, I can do this with other books. And this simple solution to remembering more of what you read or actually having change happen in your life is what I call the 24 to 48 hour rule, which is you have to take action on something in the next 24 to 48 hours from reading that book, right? So when I finish a chapter in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to apply one key idea or principle that I learned from that book. The reason why that works scientifically is because it forces you to have active recall, which active recall is the same thing that we do whenever we take tests in school, right? It requires us to go back into our memory and recall the information that we learned from the book. And it's also more meaningful and more stickier because we have an actual experience outside of just reading the book in our real life that makes the knowledge stickier and gives us feedback. And that feedback is the feedback that we need to improve or to see how we recall the information, right? The feedback whenever you take a test, like in school, is you either know the answer or you don't, right? So a lot of what you learn in school is it's like memory-based stuff, right? So if you get the answer wrong, the feedback is like, okay, I need to go back and look at that information. But if you are trying to read books that are going to change your behavior, if you're in the personal development space, then applying stuff that you learn from books, the feedback that you get from the things that you learn in the books is more valuable than just having it all up here. I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who said that an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. But some of the resistance could be coming from fear. You're worried about whether the people are going to think or how people are going to respond. And the way I look at things now is, I read this in the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. It talks about growth mindset, is that you are just pursuing the identity of being the lifelong learner. And whenever I look at things through that frame, it makes me give myself some grace whenever I screw things up or I feel like I look like an idiot, because everything's a skill game. You practice, you get better. Without practice, and that is taking action. If you don't, you can read about how to hit a baseball, but until you actually go out there and swing a few times, you're never going to improve at hitting a baseball. So it's the same thing with anything. That's how you learn. So if you want to see some changes in your life, the best thing to do is take action on what you learn in the next 24 to 48 hours. Let me know if this video was helpful in the comments. Keep learning, keep growing, keep going. I'll see you in the next one.